When we talk about being fit, our minds usually jump straight to stuff like how fast can you run a mile or what's your max bench press. But what about all the skills that actually tie that strength and speed together? Today, we're digging way deeper than the basics. We're going to find out how you can actually measure those key athletic skills. All right, let's get into it.
So often, it really just comes down to the details, right? I mean, beyond that raw power and endurance, it's about how well you can coordinate your body and how fast you can react. These things, these skill components, they're kind of like the secret ingredients for top-tier performance. And the best part? You can actually test them. It's not some mystery.
But why even bother with these tests in the first place? Look, it's not about getting a grade or passing some exam. It's all about training smarter, not just harder. Think of it like this. A good test is basically a roadmap for your fitness. It pinpoints your exact strengths and, maybe more importantly, your weaknesses. So you can stop guessing what to work on and start targeting your training with real precision. It helps you set clear goals, you get to see your progress, which is hugely motivating. And this, right here, is how you turn a bunch of numbers into a training plan that actually works.
Okay, so here's the game plan for today. We've already talked a bit about why we test. Next up, we're going to tackle coordination tests. Then we'll see how to measure your reaction time. After that, and this is crucial, we'll figure out how to make sense of your scores. And to wrap it all up, we'll have a quick exam to make sure it all sticks.
All right, first up, the coordination challenge. We're talking about testing your hand-eye skills. So what is coordination really? Well, it's basically your body's ability to sync up different movements into one smooth, efficient action. Just think of a cricketer catching a ball or a basketball player making a pass. It's all about that hand-eye coordination. And you know what? One of the best, tried and true ways to measure this is the alternate hand wall toss test. It's a classic for a reason. Super simple, but also really effective at showing how well your hands and eyes work together when you're under a little bit of pressure. So here's what it looks like. It's really all about a simple rhythm. Throw with one hand, catch with the other. Yeah, it looks easy, but trust me, it's a fantastic measure of your coordination. Okay, let's break down exactly how you do it. The setup is super straightforward. You're going to stand 2 meters back from a solid wall. As soon as that timer starts, you throw a tennis ball underarm with, let's say, your right hand. Then you catch it with your left. And boom, right away, you throw it back with your left hand and catch it with your right. You just keep that rhythm going for a full 30 seconds. Your score? It's just the total number of catches you pull off successfully. And the best thing about this test? It's so practical. All you need is a tennis ball, a stopwatch, and a wall. That's it. But here's a really key idea I want you to remember. Validity. This test has what we call high validity. Why? Because it accurately measures the exact hand-eye coordination skills you'd use in tons of sports. Anywhere catching and passing are important. Okay, let's switch it up. For a completely different take on coordination, we have the stick flip test. This one's a little different. It moves away from that broad skill of just catching a ball and gets into something that demands way more precise, fine motor control. So with this one, you're holding 2 sticks and using them to flip a third one. And there are actually 2 levels of difficulty here. You've got the 180-degree half flip, and then there's the much, much trickier full 360-degree flip. That full flip, it requires some serious control and precision. Now, the way you do this one is pretty specific. You hold the 2 sticks parallel to each other and you lay the third one right across them. The challenge? You gotta toss that third stick up in the air and then catch it again on the 2 sticks you're holding. You get 5 tries for the half flip and 5 for the full flip. You score 1 point for every catch you make. And this brings us back to that all-important idea, validity. Remember that? So why does this matter so much? Well, the wall toss test has high validity because that throwing and catching movement is something you actually do in a real game. It translates directly. The stick flip test, it's a cool challenge for sure, but it has lower validity because, well, how often are you flipping sticks in a game? It's not a common athletic movement. So here's the takeaway. Whenever you choose a test, you have to ask yourself, is this actually measuring a skill that's going to make me better at my sport? All right, let's switch gears. We're moving on from coordination to speed. And I'm not talking about how fast you run. I'm talking about reaction speed. It's all about how quickly your brain can process something and tell your body to move. Like reacting to a starting pistol or a ball flying at you. And the classic go-to way to test this? The ruler drop test. I bet you've probably seen this before. Maybe you've even tried it in school. It is so simple, you need basically no equipment, and it gives you a surprisingly accurate read on your reaction time.
Okay, so here's how it's done. You'll need a partner for this one. They hold a ruler vertically at the top. You put your thumb and index finger right at the 0 mark, but don't touch it. Then, with absolutely no warning, your partner just lets go. Your job is to snatch that ruler as fast as you can. The distance on the ruler where your thumb lands, that's your score. You'll want to do this 3 times and then just calculate the average for your final score. And this is exactly why the ruler drop test is so popular. It's just so practical. I mean, you only need a ruler and a friend. And going back to our key term, it has high validity for any sport that demands those lightning-fast reactions. Think about a goalie making a split-second save or a table tennis player returning a smash. It's perfect for that. But of course, we're living in a digital world, right? So naturally, you can also test your reaction time online. There are tons of these tests. They usually work by flashing some kind of visual cue on the screen, maybe the screen changes color, and your job is to click the mouse as fast as humanly possible. It's a pretty cool alternative that you can literally do anywhere you've got a computer. Okay, so you've done the tests, you've got your numbers. Maybe it's 35 catches or 15 centimeters on the ruler. Now what? What do you actually do with that data? Well, this is the really important part. This is where we turn those raw numbers into information you can actually use. So how do you actually make sense of your score? The key is something called normative data, which is just a fancy term for tables like this one. See, these tables are put together from thousands and thousands of test results, all sorted by age and gender. So, for example, let's say you're a guy, and you got 37 catches in the wall toss test. You'd find your number in the male column, trace it across, and boom, that puts you in the above average category. And that's it. That's how you go from just a random number to a real insight about where you stand compared to everyone else. And believe me, that context is everything. Your score suddenly tells you how you stack up against other people your age and gender. It clearly flags whether a skill, say reaction time, is a personal strength or if it's an area you really need to work on. And once you know that, you can set realistic goals. And, just as importantly, you can retest yourself later to see if your training is actually paying off. It's this awesome cycle. Test, train, and retest. All right, we have covered a ton of ground. So, to help make sure all that great info is locked in, let's do a quick knowledge check. We'll frame it just like a question you might see on an exam. Okay, here's the question. For 3 marks, describe how to carry out the ruler drop test. Just take a second and think back. What were the key steps we talked about? What are those 3 most critical parts you'd need to mention? All right, pencils down, let's look at the model answer. An examiner is going to be looking for 3 specific points. Number 1, the setup. An administrator holds the ruler. Number 2, the participant's starting position. That's the thumb and index finger lined up with the 0 mark. And number 3, the action. The administrator lets go, the participant catches it. Simple, clear, and that's how you get your full 3 marks. So we've covered a lot today. How to test your coordination, how to test your reaction time, and most importantly, what to do with those results. So I guess there's really only one question left, and this one's for you. Now that you've got the tools, which skill are you going to test first to gain that edge and start training smarter?